to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Take a slow, deep breath, letting the quiet softness of this moment drift through you. Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories. Tonight you are invited on a peaceful journey through a gentle, rainy night in the Oregon mountains. Even as you exhale, you can already feel your body loosening, your mind drifting, as though the gentle hush of distant rain is dissolving each thought into a warm haze of comfort. You might notice your limbs growing heavier, sinking into your bed, as if an unseen hand of calm is pressing you tenderly into the safe cradle of rest. In the moments ahead, you will discover a quiet story set in a misty, moonlit mountain landscape where soft raindrops and cool breezes offer the promise of deep slumber. Breathe in again. Let the air fill every part of you, as though you are drawing in the sweet scent of pine needles and damp earth after a gentle rainfall. Allow your chest to expand with that softness. And as you exhale, imagine any leftover tension flowing away, replaced by a slow, rhythmic lull of peace. In this welcoming space, each new breath becomes a promise of surrender. Surrender to rest, surrender to a tranquil sort of dreaming. You are here to let go, to ease gently into the lullaby of steady raindrops, softly tapping at the edges of your awareness, offering a lull that carries you away from the weight of the day. Perhaps you can feel it already, that tingling sensation of comfort that passes through your fingers and toes, as if your body is letting out a contented sigh. There is no need to rush or force anything. Simply follow each calm breath. The story awaiting you will unfold softly, without hurry or demand, guiding you through serene mountain paths and hushed forest trails. Let the hush of the world around you lull your mind into stillness. Every moment here is for you. When you are ready, allow the narrative to take shape in your mind's eye, and invite your thoughts to slow to the pace of a gentle stream. This journey is yours to savor, a companion to your softest dreams. High in the Oregon mountains, a fine, silvery mist enveloped a small log cabin nestled among towering firs. The entire landscape glowed with the ethereal sheen that often follows a late-day drizzle. From the thick canopy overhead, droplets of rain continued their calm descent, pattering quietly against leaves, pine needles, and the old wooden roof. There, in that secluded dwelling, one lone traveler was preparing for nightfall. The traveler had come seeking solitude and the quiet comfort of nature's evening rhythms. Golden lamplight spilled through curtained windows, illuminating pockets of the damp meadow outside, creating small pockets of warmth against the ever-deepening gloom. Gazing out from the cabin's porch, the traveler noticed how the trails winding through the pine forests were gently rinsed clean by the persistent drizzle. Each raindrop glistened on the foliage, bending slender blades of grass and rolling across across broad leaves in steady droplets. The mountains themselves wore a cloak of wispy fog that curled around the evergreen slopes, whispering of unknown valleys and hidden glades beyond. As evening moved closer, the gentle hush of the forest became the only voice, soft as a lullaby. An owl's muffled hoot echoed from somewhere high in the pines, and the steady, rhythmic pulse of rain began to form a soothing chorus, layered with the distant gurgle of a hidden creek. Stepping inside, the traveler carefully closed the old cabin door, noting how the sound of the rain seemed to intensify once enclosed within the snug wooden walls. It was as though the cabin, too, was leaning in to listen, wholeheartedly attuned to every subtle shift of the raindrops. Inside, warm lantern light fell across a small table adorned with a simple vase of wild flowers gathered earlier that day from a sun-dappled clearing. Their colors, though subdued by the waning light, still whispered of summer's vibrancy. The traveler had found gentle pleasure in picking them, feeling the soft ground underfoot and hearing twigs quietly snapping in the undergrowth, a reminder of nature's humble secrets. A kettle waited atop a rustic cast-iron stove. The traveler sparked a small flame in the stove's belly, feeding it with dried kindling and watching as the fire took hold. Slow curls of heat began to rise, wavering in the cabin's cozy air. The traveler moved through the space with a serene and unhurried grace, taking in the creaks of the floor, the scent of time-worn timber, and the low crackle of the emerging fire. The traveler's belongings were few: a warm blanket folded neatly at the foot of a bed, a well-worn journal brimming with sketches of pine cones and pressed leaves, and a battered teacup that had journeyed through many nights like this one. When at last the water warmed, the traveler poured tea into the waiting cup. The gentle swirl of steam, carrying hints of chamomile and peppermint. Rain tapped the window glass, like a gentle reminder of the quiet world beyond. Even though the night was thickening, there was a sense of welcoming, as though the entire forest breathed in a kind of contentment, each living thing embracing the rhythm of falling rain. The tea's aroma mingled with the mild smokiness from the stove, and in that combination the traveler found a gentle stirring of memories. Nights spent gazing at starlit skies, mornings bright with dew and soft footsteps along mossy trails. As the traveler curled up with the warm mug in hand, the steady drumming of droplets on the roof carried a hypnotic, soothing cadence. The cabin walls seemed to expand and contract with each breath, the wooden beams inhaling the hush of the forest and exhaling a deep sense of tranquility. Shadows flickered and glided across the walls, like faint echoes of the trees outside, swaying under the weight of the mist. In the traveler's mind, each shift of shadow could easily be the brushstroke of a dream, yet to unfold. Though the air carried the cool crispness of night, the gentle fire and the traveler's thick socks warded off any chill, weaving comfort through the quiet interior. Just beyond the windows, the pine-laced slopes descended into a valley draped in a swaying hush. Now and again, The rain slackened, diminishing into an almost imperceptible whisper, only to return a few minutes later with renewed soft patter. The traveler found it comforting, like the steady in and out motion of a gentle breath, or the calm rocking of a cradle. The old growth fir trees seemed to exhale too, as tiny rivulets of water trickled along their bark, disappearing into the soft forest floor. Each raindrop contributed to a cleansing that was as old as the mountains themselves, a cyclical dance that nourished root and leaf alike. From time to time, a distant rumble spoke of thunder rolling across unseen ridges, although it was more of a muted murmur than a sudden roar. The traveler tilted their head, listening to the soft resonance. Thunder in that remote place felt like a benevolent presence, humming gently across the horizon, as if joining the lullaby. Through the windows, the clouds above the peaks glowed faintly from a hidden moon, a secret shimmer that lit the nearest ridges in silver outlines. The forest beneath it remained dark, though not ominous, more like an embrace, a protective cloak that nurtured every nesting creature. In a slow, unhurried way, the traveler stood, setting the teacup aside to wander toward the window. There was something almost mesmerizing about watching the rainfall up close, to see the droplets meander down the pane. Each watery trail reflected lantern light in shimmering ribbons like miniature rivers on a glass landscape. The traveler watched them trace their path, descending into puddles along the windowsill. Outside, the wind carried a gentle sigh through the trees, a faint rustling that spoke of tranquility rather than turmoil. It was the simple music of a peaceful mountain night, a sound that once heard often remains in memory long afterward. Beyond the cabin, the forest floor was layered with soft needles, releasing the sweet perfume of damp pine and spruce. Any footsteps taken out there would land almost silently, cushioned by nature's own gentle carpeting. In the hush of the clearing, one might catch sight of a deer stepping carefully among ferns, or a small family of foxes sniffing the evening air. Though well hidden from prying eyes, these forest dwellers lived their nightly routine in harmony with the steady hush of rainfall, each life woven delicately into the tapestry of the mountains. The traveler found solace in imagining these subtle existences, each creature drifting through the undergrowth like a shadow, unhurried and untroubled. Soon, the traveler pulled a soft woolen blanket from the bed and wrapped it around their shoulders, letting the warmth linger. Sitting now by the small table, they ran a hand across the aged wooden surface, which bore the marks and scratches of many stories gone by. Perhaps another weary soul had once found the same spot, listening to the same gentle rain, thinking the same hushed thoughts. There was a familiar continuity in that realization, a reminder that within these ancient mountains time was vast and patient, holding every small moment like a precious keepsake. The traveler felt comforted by that notion, as if the cabin itself stood as a testament to countless peaceful nights. A single candle flickered near the bed, its mellow glow dancing across the logs of the walls. Now and again, a small draft would circle through, drawing a whisper from the flames. The traveler slid across the bed, gazing momentarily at the pitched roof overhead, where wooden beams angled together, forming a sturdy canopy against the rain. In that vantage point, the patter of droplets sounded even closer, reminding the traveler of childhood nights spent listening to thunderstorms while nestled under blankets. That recollection brought a smile, a wistful gratitude for the simple pleasure of rest within nature's gentle presence. Outside the cabin, the mountainous silhouette grew fainter as the night progressed. Clouds draped themselves around the forest in lazy folds, layering shades of gray and blue across the sky. As the drizzle continued, the pine boughs seemed to bow forward in a silent show of respect for the rain that nourished them. The earth was drinking deeply, welcoming the refreshment, and the streams and creeks were swelling with the promise of new life. In a hidden corner of the meadow, water pooled into a tiny pond, its surface rippling under each raindrop, sending playful patterns of light dancing across the water's surface whenever the moon peered through a gap in the clouds. Inside, the traveler let the hush of the moment sink in. Each breath carried the hush deeper into the mind, settling there like a soft anchor. The old stove popped occasionally as heat met the iron surfaces, forging a gentle warmth that soothed every muscle in the traveler's body. The cabin was small, with just enough space for a bed, a table, a stove, and a single comfy chair near the window. But in that snug simplicity lay a world of comfort, as though each piece of furniture existed solely to enhance the experience of quiet contemplation and rest. In the lingering hours of the night, the traveler decided to leaf through the pages of the journal. Within it lay sketches of mountain ridges, pressed leaves from the day's hike, and half-written thoughts capturing fleeting impressions. On one page, a pine cone pressed months ago still retained the faint aroma of forest air. On another, a scribbled note read, "Even the smallest raindrop whispers of renewal." The traveler paused on that line, letting the meaning soak in. Perhaps it was that truth that drew them to these mountains, the desire to find renewal in nature's gentle workings, to reawaken a quieter part of the self. Rain slipped into a more insistent rhythm for a time, its steady pulse adding a fresh resonance to the night. Still, it was never harsh or forceful, just enough of an increase to remind every living thing of its soft yet persistent presence. The traveler smiled at the sound, recalling how each season in Oregon had its own signature rainfall. In late winter, the drizzle might be a persistent companion for days, cleansing the land before the arrival of spring buds. In early summer, a sudden shower could awaken scents of earth and evergreen. And on this particular night, as autumn approached, the rain seemed especially reflective, as though it carried a gentle hush of gratitude. Time had lost its hold inside the cabin. Without distraction, the traveler drifted between small tasks, sipping tea, adding a log to the fire, brushing fingertips across the wooden windowsill. Each act a slow, mindful ritual. In that rhythmic pace, there was no hurry for what might come next. The sky had grown fully dark, yet the traveler felt no urge for sleep just yet, content to linger in the delicate hush. The forest, too, showed no urgency. Even the wind had settled into a low, barely audible hum among the upper branches. Beyond the threshold of the cabin, a narrow path led downhill, winding past a cluster of spruce and cedar until it reached a small clearing. Though the traveler could not see it now, that clearing held a weathered bench carved from a fallen log facing westward. By day it offered a sweeping view of a nearby valley and the distant peaks. By night, especially a rainy one like this, it overlooked a shifting tapestry of moonlit drizzle, veiled clouds, and faint silhouettes of rolling hills. The traveler found comfort in knowing that if morning arrived with clear skies, that path would invite a simple stroll to greet the sunrise. Until then, the bench waited quietly, soaking in the night's rain, an unspoken promise that nature never ceases its gentle transformations. After a while, the travelers set down the journal, closed their eyes, and listened again to the night's symphony. The intervals between raindrops sometimes formed mesmerizing patterns. Now and then, a small gust of wind would flick water against the window, or cause the branches to sway in a sweeping hush. It was as if nature herself composed an ever-changing lullaby, soothing both land and spirit. The traveler's breathing slowed, matching that gentle pulse, drifting between the notes as effortlessly as a leaf on a stream. A faint creaking told of a pine bough shifting near the cabin's roof. Farther off, the forest floor rustled, suggesting perhaps a nocturnal creature pausing to inspect a fallen cone. Nature continued its restful watch over this remote hideaway, each element balanced in the hush. The mountains themselves kept their ancient vigil, silhouettes standing steadfast against a soft blanket of darkness. In that calm, timeless place, the traveler allowed all thoughts to melt away, replaced by the comfort of existing in harmony with the forest. Gradually, the weight of the day surrendered. The traveler began to feel a drowsy warmth settle in, gently coaxing eyelids to close. A few distant memories surfaced. Old laughter, favorite stories told by a fireside, the feel of a loved one's voice guiding them toward calm. All of it blended seamlessly into the present hush, as though memory and moment had merged. With each passing minute, the traveler felt more aligned with the profound serenity that lay cradled among those tall firs and quiet slopes. Time meandered forward, unhurried. The traveler eased out of the chair and onto the bed, feeling the hush thicken around them, as though the forest itself were tucking them in. In the corner, the stove's embers glowed gently, casting a subtle orange hue. Shadows danced across the traveler's resting form, performing a final lullaby before retreating into the deeper darkness of the cabin's corners. The hush grew so absolute that each drop of rain on the roof seemed to ring like a soft bell, calling all things toward rest. Though hours remained until dawn, the night had found its gentle equilibrium. The traveler gave a soft sigh of gratitude, letting that sigh carry them closer to slumber. In that breath there was acceptance. Acceptance of the mountain's rhythms, acceptance of the forest's age-old wisdom, acceptance of the rain's patient cleansing. It was a trusting release, a complete surrender to the lull of nature's cradle. Midnight settled over the cabin with a calm so deep that even the usual rustles and whispers seemed muted. The traveler's eyes grew heavy, the warmth of the stove's final embers, gentle memory against the soft darkness. Now the rain outside fell in the gentlest of patterns, like a lullaby guiding all living creatures closer to rest. Each drip from the eaves made a melodic tap against the stones below, echoing through the hush of the quiet room. Nothing seemed urgent, nothing pressing. Only the rhythmic promise of sleep filled the air. In the dim glow that remained, the traveler's breaths matched the soft sigh of the wind. The pages of the journal lay open, waiting for morning light to illuminate new words or sketches. But for now, there was only the stillness of a waiting page and the sound of the mountain's steady breath. The cabin's wooden beams stood silent guard over this peaceful slumber, each aged plank telling its own tale of similar nights, of raindrops weaving harmony beyond the walls. Outside, the slopes of the Oregon mountains drifted in midnight dreams, cradling the forest in a gentle, protective darkness. Night slowly surrendered to deeper silence as the traveler sank into rest. The hush carried them away, guided by the patter of the rain and the lull of the breeze. Soon thought drifted into dream into a calm beyond words. And in that final moment of awareness, there was only the deep sense of belonging in this serene mountain realm. May this lull hold anyone who listens, whispering the promise of healing rest. May the quiet story of this rainy night linger, a gentle memory for all who seek peace under the towering pines. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.